Hello friends, and welcome back to another 642 Tiny Things to Draw update. First up, we have a studio apartment in Manhattan, and I did not plan this one at all. I just winged it going right in with a Micron, and that was a very bad idea because the proportions and the layout are all kinds of wrong. I definitely should have sketched this out in pencil first and then outlined it, but too late for that, mistakes were made. Obviously, I went for a very scribbly art style, and I tried to make it look like the entire what should be a house was all crammed into one very narrow room. Got the bedroom, the kitchen, the office all shoved into one room, and I tried to add a bathroom in the back corner, but it's very squished, which I guess is accurate. So next up, we have a birthmark shaped like a heart. For this one, I went for a color block design using all Grabie acrylic paint markers. I tried to draw a close-up of a stomach with pink being the base color, red being shadows, white being highlights, and maroon being darker shadows. And then for the birthmark color, I used a light purple, and I didn't want it to be too obviously heart-shaped because that's just not realistic. So I did like a little wavy heart splotch kind of shape. Actually, I had two of them, so two somewhat heart-shaped birthmarks. I don't know how well this reads, but I think it's cute either way. Anyway, now we have a drop of morning dew. Here I am filling in the background with graphite and adding some scribbles along the edges to make them darker, and now filling in the grass blade with more graphite and giving it some shadows. I used an eraser to remove some graphite from the dewdrops to give it a highlight, and now I'm coming in with blue watercolor to add color to the shadow part of the dewdrops. Then I added even more highlight to the dewdrops with a white Grabie acrylic marker. This doodle is very simple, but it's cute and I like it. And now we have a peanut shell. I did put down a very light layer of light brown over the entire peanut shell, but it ended up not being super visible in the end anyway. And with that same brown, I added shadows to the grooves in the peanut shell texture by pushing harder to get a darker brown. Then I outlined everything with Micron, and I added some scribbles in the shadows, and I questioned that decision afterwards, but I don't hate it. I think it looked okay in the end. Then I added some highlights with a light tan kind of skin tone colored Grabie acrylic paint marker. This doodle ended up looking more like a Nutter Butter than a peanut shell, which I mean, Nutter Butters are peanut shaped and themed, so I guess it works. And lastly, I filled in the background with graphite and added a very odd shadow design just because, I don't know, it needed something going on in the background, and I called it done. And here it is done. Now we have something in your eye. At first I thought of doing an eyelash, but then I was like, no, that's boring. So then I decided on a fly, and then I was like, well, okay, if I'm doing a fly, I might as well make it a zombie eye. So here I am filling in the eye bag area with dark purples and blues. Then the eyelid area with green and yellow, and I have a finger pulling down the bottom eyelid so you see the meat underneath, so I filled that in with red. For the skin, I chose green because zombie, and shaded it with some blues. I tried to make this eye very dead looking, so I colored it in with a very, very pale yellow, had a bunch of red veins showing, and then shaded the eye with brown. And for all the highlights, I'm using a white Grabie acrylic paint marker, and overall, I really like how this drawing came out. Like, the fly is very cartoonish and kind of bad looking, but the eye itself, like the rest of the drawing, love it. Here's the full picture, which is hard to fit in a horizontal screen, so here is a close-up of just the eye. And our next doodle is toasted marshmallows, very fitting for the holidays. I wanted my toasted marshmallows in hot chocolate, so here I am coloring the mug red to be festive. To get my marshmallows toasty, I put down a bubbly texture, and then I colored them in with yellow, and then a brown, and then a darker brown. I kept the brown to the center of the yellow, so it looks like it fades from not toasted marshmallow to slightly golden to toasted in center. And then here I am adding some darker shadows with graphite. Then I added some highlights with a white acrylic paint marker, and then added some doodles in the background with a green acrylic paint marker because I felt like I needed something going on back there so it's not so boring and bland. And then I called it done, and now we have a frame of a Super 8 film. I had to Google what that was. This whole doodle is in Micron and a little bit of graphite because some of the pictures that I found on Google Images looked like the edges of the film were a little beaten up, so I added some scratchy scratch marks along the edges with graphite. Here it is finished, and for our last doodle of this update is a necklace cameo, which are the pendants that are slightly 3D and have a portrait of a historical looking girl usually on it. I think these necklaces are so pretty and so elegant. Anyway, I colored in the girl yellow with a colored pencil and the background black. And the minimal shading on the portrait is done with graphite, and the entire border of the pendant is done in a very shiny golden Grabie acrylic paint marker. This doodle needed to be shiny, and then I outlined the border and all of its details with a very thin Micron, and I was questioning that decision, but I already started, so I couldn't just leave 3 things outlined and I had to complete it. Overall, I think this doodle came out really cute, and I'm happy with it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more of me, click the link in the description box. That is my link tree. On my link tree, you can find my Instagram, other Instagram, TikTok, and a whole bunch of other stuff involving me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!